Good afternoon, Robert Ciresi here with CiresiMorek. CiresiMorek is an executive search firm based out of Northeastern Ohio. The reason I'm doing these videos today, it's simple, is that I've been doing this since 1998, and and I'm consistently asked certain questions by, a number of my connections on LinkedIn. I created CiresiMorek with Mark Morek and Ben Evans and Richard Crew in 2012. What we do is we partner with Fortune 1000 companies and mid-cap companies and private equity, mostly in the industrial space. Every day I'm asked questions, whether it be email, LinkedIn Messenger, via text, and I can't answer all the questions. But I figure if I can take these questions, bundle them into a series, and do my best to answer them questions, I'll do so. So each series, we're going to cover certain topics. If you want to address something, just please email me at rceresi@CiresiMorek. So with that, I wanted to introduce Mandy, and Mandy recently joined us back in January.
Yep.
Right? And Mandy had been in talent acquisition with Hilton. And for those of you watching, she's also a Yinzer. So if you don't know what a Yinzer is, feel free to Google that. But with that, Mandy, all yours.
Please, thank you. I am a Yinzer. I actually was born and raised in Pittsburgh and relocated to Cleveland. I'm very excited to be part of the team here at CiresiMorek and lead the recruitment function or the search consultants and partner with Robert and Mark and Rick and Ben as well. But I have about 15, almost 16 years of experience just in HR, talent acquisition, and recruitment, both corporate and then also from an agency standpoint as well. So excited to chat with you today, Robert.
Excellent.
Great. Well,
and behind the camera, we have Maggie, who doesn't want to be on the camera, but we'll let her go. Go ahead.
Perfect. The topic today is contingent versus retained search. And we're going to start at a baseline because the audience, some may not be familiar with the differences, some may call them something different. So from both of your perspectives, what are the primary differences between contingent and retained searches?
You want me to go first?
Go.
Gotcha. And the primary difference, well, first and foremost, supposedly retained search cares more than contingency search, right? That's kind of what maybe retained people sell, but the retained search is going to be more exclusive, more selective, and the perception is that search firm cares more about their customer compared to a contingency search or search.
Search.
Yeah.
And I would also add too, I think that we see, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we see a lot with retained search whenever we're working on higher level positions.
Yeah.
It could be, more at a director level or an executive level versus a lower level position.
Yeah, I think, and I kind of wrote some of these down. I think it's speed versus quality,
Yeah.
Exclusivity versus public. But truth be told, we're not attorneys, but with attorneys, if you're going to hire a good attorney to help you, they're not going to work on a contingency basis. They're just not. You're going to have to retain an attorney to help you out in a certain search, compared to some attorneys, they'll just get paid based on their what happens in the court case. But I think there's a perception there, or retained is, they're just different. They are different, but I'll let you go ahead with the next question. I don't go too far into it.
Yeah, you kind of hit on it, but going into it a little bit more, what are the pros and cons of both? If you are a client and you're thinking through why you partner one way or the other, like what are the pros and cons?
So I would say from a contingent basis, it is if you are looking to make maybe a volume of hires or hires on a quicker turnaround versus retained. A pro for retained is that we're really doing a lot of market research, talent mapping, identifying that passive candidate that might not actively be on the market, that we're spending a lot of time on finding that perfect match for what the client is asking for, versus somebody that could be actively on the market or, that we're quickly trying to move those candidates forward.
So your question is, what are the pros and cons? It really depends on the customer. I think great headhunters are not going to work on a contingency basis. They're just not. Similar to attorneys. They're not going to accept payment just in case. I kind of equate it to maybe building a house. So if you're looking to build a house, I can't ask a general contractor, say, hey, you build it, what I think I want, then maybe I'll pay you. They're not going to do it. So contingency may be quicker, but it needs to be because it's a race to find a candidate. And there are no rules in contingency search. Whatever resume shows up first, that's the person you hire. So once that happens, the quality suffers. It's not measured. So, it's important to have volume and speed compared, but quality is going to kill. It's going to go down. So I personally think retainer engage is better, but it really depends on the customer. Sure. And it really depends on, I see so often that I had a bad experience with this firm. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. You have to choose a firm that has a good brand, a good reputation, and you got to check references like anything else you do. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we obviously do both contingent and retained search. Mm-hmm. We do more retained these days, but we do partner with clients in both capacities. Why do we offer both?
I'll jump in.
Yep.
I think we try to offer different services to different customers.
Yep.
Our quality, our quality will stay the same, but certain customers they may not want the Rolls Royce. Maybe they wanted Malibu or something like that. Nothing against Malibus out there, but I think that we need to offer both, and it really depends on what our customer is looking to do. But we're not going to bend. So retained search is an investment. I mean, tens of thousands invested. But like on our side, when we do searches, we're spending, and what people do not realize is that when a customer partners with us, there seems to be an illusion that, hey, can you send me 5 plant managers tomorrow? Well, no, it takes months, years to develop that bench, that network, to be able to make a phone call to say, hey, trust me with your resume because I have a customer. That doesn't happen overnight. So, but going back to your question, why do we offer both? I think we try to appease our customer, but we also need to, be prepared if some customers are looking for certain things. So
I would agree. And I mean, I think that you're right, Robert, whenever we talk about like building a pipeline of talent, I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of resumes that are in our database, and it takes time to build a database up like that to whether it's a contingent position or a retained position. But I think it separates us in the marketplace as well too, from a client standpoint.
I recently had a customer reach out to me for a president search, and this was all in probably a $2.5 million search. And he had hired one of the big boys. And big boys, I can't remember if it was Corn Ferry or Spencer Stewart, I can't recall. Doesn't really matter, but it was one of the Yankees of the search business. And they were family. Now, this is a gentleman that I've known for years, and I said, here's someone that I know. If you hire him, let me know. Freebie kind of approach, but it wasn't a contingency search or a retained search, but because I've been doing this for 30 years, I happen to know someone that I thought would be a very good candidate. So maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, I don't know, but yeah, we take a different approach.
I think a lot of us have these lists of clients that are like dream clients that we want to partner with, or white whales that we're chasing constantly. In your mind, do you think of pitching a contingent search as like a foot in the door, as a way to get your foot in the door, or do you lean into just going after retained right away?
I think it depends on the customer on the other end and really what they're looking for.
So I scratch your back, you scratch my back?
Like a little, like I want to partner with you, give me a chance.
I have for years given, candidates, a free referral and so forth, mm-hmm. right? And most of the times it burns me. But I try to be as honest and forthcoming as possible. But you have to go in there. There has to be respect and trust on both sides. So, what irks my customers the most is when I say, "Hey, let's do an intake call to identify what this role was, understand your brand, what are the metrics, why you want to hire this person, so forth." Their response a lot of times is, "Oh, I'm going to say not a lot of times. Most of the time is just send me some resumes." Well, if you flip that, and this is going to piss some people off, but if you flip that, and I'm not going to send and customers are candidates are customers, right? Everybody has a resume, depending on where they are in life or if they're looking for a role. But I'm not going to send anyone's resume to anyone without knowing where their resume is going. And it's my job to understand that resume is going and understand like the job itself. I mean, it's just foolish. So on a contingency basis, you get that a lot. Just give me your resume, I'll get it over. If I get make money, I make money, right? On a retained model, this is what we're working on a lot now, is creating a statement of work, expectations, job descriptions, and that's a lot. That's a process. So, but going back to your original question, I will do everything I can to help someone out. However, I am very guarded when people start taking advantage of situations because it can really, spiral down quickly. So, but there have been times where, and you've been in talent acquisition, right? I don't have a budget for this fee, or I don't have a budget right now to pay you. And if I've known her for years and we have a very good relationship, I might say, okay, well, here's someone. If it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, but our goal is to have a relationship when she does have a budget for her fee. So, great question.
Okay. I want to give a little bit of a look into how we kick off a search internally, specifically on the retained side, to shed a little bit of light on when people just think, oh, I have 5 plant managers to send you, like what actually goes into that engagement fee and why we're doing a lot of work on the back end. So Mandy, can you walk us through kind of what goes up? Yes.
Not yet. And I'll tell you, and I'll tell you why. So if any of our customers are watching or soon to be customers, so historically, we've gotten a job, we got all excited like a Tommy boy. Oh, we got a job, let's go fill it, right? And then we didn't get the whole process down, or we didn't get everything nailed down, right? And we might have been flinging a resume, but we didn't get everything secure. So we looked at the business and said, okay, how do great companies do it? When they are looking, we need to add this person, let's make sure we're doing the right way and everything, T's are crossed, I's are dotted. So when we looked at ourselves in the mirror and said, how do we get better? We said we need to hire someone to manage this function for us. So that's why we hired the Yinzer. Sorry. I'm a Browns fan, she's a Steelers fan, so they kick our butt too many times, so she's gonna get taunted for a while.
For sure. We spend a lot of time working with the client and then also working with like Robert or business development to understand what the client is hunting for. And we spend a lot of time just even doing our own, research on the client, what candidates are working for, or what team members are working for the client today, really taking a deep dive into what the role will be and roles and responsibilities. And I think Robert's really good with this. Like if my team would come to you and say, hey, the roles and responsibilities don't align to what the market's calling for, it always has a great relationship back with the client that can help manage that even from a compensation standpoint, because I think that we have that intelligence. And then we spend a lot of time actually, whether we're using a LinkedIn network or we're using our own referral network or our own database that's filled with hundreds of thousands of candidates, but we're spending that time actually talking to candidates, talking to referrals, working the market around that certain area, talking to candidates that are even willing to relocate to those areas. There's tools and resources, but that's not all we depend on. I would say that we spend a lot of time even working our own individual networks and in marketing across the US to attract some of that talent.
What was your question again?
Like what goes into kicking off a retained search,
Gotcha.
and kind of a look into why that fee for a retained search exists.
Well, let me throw something in that her team does, and this is not, hopefully this doesn't surprise you, but it happens with everyone. People don't do research on jobs. They don't do research, and companies don't do a great job putting information out there. Mandy's team, or even our team, a lot of times, we'll spend half hour on the phone with candidates, telling them about a company, why the job's open, everything, because they don't do it. Candidates do not do it. And then when you ask companies for information, hey, can I have some branding market material on your company? Let me see what we have something. And we're not talking about small companies. We're talking about Fortune. Websites are great, but give us something else we can give a customer, because we're giving candidate, because candidates get on the phone and they don't know how to interview. They don't know what questions to ask. And they don't do research on the company. So if you're watching and you're a candidate, I can assure you, if you spend a half hour doing research or working with other search consultants, just what a company does, and why their stock's trading this way or something, you already have a leg up, because people don't do it. They show up on interviews and they just say, tell me about the job. and then they get booted. So
It's doing your homework as a candidate, I think,
Yes.
preparing yourself.
Mhm.
and it works the other way too. We have customers that don't do their homework. They open up the resume during the interview. So if you're a customer watching this and you literally grab a resume during the interview, and that is a candidate who is sharp and done the research, if you haven't done that, if you haven't taken that approach with a candidate, that can't happen. Last night, one of my customers, we're not talking about a small job. We're talking about a $300,000 a year role. Candidate was there for an interview. The hiring manager was not ready, did not have the resumes in front of him, couldn't ask certain questions. That candidate walked out of the interview saying, I don't want to work for that person. It happened. And I couldn't tell him he should. So,
Yeah, I think the retained model tends to translate more to consultative service where we're hands-on throughout the whole
absolutely.
process.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Are there times, and this is more a story time, but where we've started a search as a contingent search, and over time and enough time and effort has gone into it that it's evolved to be a retained search, because the client sees that they can eventually get somewhere, but we ultimately have to say basically we can't keep doing
We got to break up.
kind of like we try to go break up and then they say no, don't leave, and we go from a contingent to retained model.
Sure.
Has that ever happened?
Yes. So let me give you an analogy because people who are watching this don't understand the search business. But if you go to a nice restaurant and you say, bring me something to eat, and I bring you a steak, you say, I don't like it. And I bring you fish. You say, I don't like it. I bring you chicken. You say, I don't like it. I literally now spent labor, cost, material. I made 3 dinners, right? And my expectation is you're going to pay me. But at the end of 3, I'm like, I'm going to say, get the hell out, right? Or you're going to say, wait a second, all those meals you made, they were good, just not exactly perfect. And then I will say, okay, well, we have to come to some kind of agreement because I can't make you meals for free. If you want to stay in my restaurant, you got to pay me something. So it does happen. Not very often. I mean, all depends on how you kind of, present it, but sometimes customers just want to shop. I mean, I personally, there's a car dealership here locally in Cleveland. I'm probably never going to buy a car there. And I know the salesperson there. And I walk in, I say, hey, Tim, what's up? He goes, all right, let me know he doesn't talk to me. I just want to see cars.
Mm-hmm.
So some people take that approach. They just want to see resumes. They don't want anything with them. And it's our job, her job, all to get, okay, is this person serious? Because some people just want to be in the game for a little bit. So it does happen. And I think it should happen more often, but you gotta be very careful because I think it's all how you gotta have a good relationship with that customer. So, but yeah.
To follow up to that, a kind of car analogy, and obviously there's several different factors that play into this, but if you look back at our execution as a firm over 2023, 2024, and into the early part of 2025, we successfully placed candidates on close to 75% of our retained searches, whereas it's closer to like 30-40% on contingent searches, oftentimes because I think it's people just want to shop, or they have several different firms working on it, and so your odds of scoring or finding the right person maybe diminish a little. Are there other factors that you think go into why there's such a significant discrepancy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So our retained model is not like any other search firm. In fact, I wouldn't even call it a retained model. We ask our customers to provide a deposit for us to get started. So cover our costs for the tools that we have, huge database. And we spend close to $250,000 a year on LinkedIn. Our people are not salespeople. They're search consultants. So they're on a bonus plan compared to a straight commission. So we don't have anybody on a draw who's out there. It's not how we structure. So there's an investment on the quality of folks that we hire, and all of our folks, I can tell you, are honest and have high integrity. So when a customer relies on us, partners with us, kind of as a trusted advisor, if we take that money, there are expectations that we'll do at least find candidates based on what you're asking us to fill. And if we do not, we're going to return the money. So we'll never be the firm that says, you took our money and you didn't fill our job, ever. I won't have anybody have that on me. You'll never see a Google review that says, we did a search, it took our money and they disappeared, ever. I'd rather just write a check for $20,000, $30,000 to keep you out of my life.
Right.
But if we ask for money, it's the reason for it, to cover our cost, and then we go to work. And I think we fill, what, 70% of those jobs? And the ones we don't fill, maybe it's not because we didn't do the work. It's might be because they went internal. The job didn't exist. But I'm pretty confident every job we get asked to fill, we fill unless something changes on our customer's end. And I'm almost 100% certain confident that no one would ever say that what you guys did is not what we asked you to do. So, and contingency is research 30%. If you look at the stats on Google, that's 300 batting average. That's what contingency search is. It's take a resume, take a shot. So I would rather hit bat 700 for a little bit more, be more expensive than bat 300. So I don't know.
I would agree with you.
Did you hire firms when you were at Hilton?
Very little, but yes.
Very little? Gotcha.
Very little.
They always say that, by the way.
Was it more contingent, retained?
It was
what
more
level?
contingent,
Okay.
but on the executive level, it was all retained.
Did it have to be from an edict from someone?
Yeah.
So someone told you that it has to be this firm?
Yeah, it has to, yes,
Gotcha.
yes.
And that firm, and I asked this to my customers in TA, that firm you had to use, when your response is why, was it because I told you to, or because we have these metrics that say they're the best of the best?
It's driven by metrics and then cost.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but that's more at the executive level was retained. The contingents are just sure at the other levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
And something we do hear from potential customers from time to time is we only do like contingent work, or we can only partner with people on a contingency basis. Do you guys have any thoughts on maybe why that is, or why that may not be the best approach for an organization?
We only partner with certain firms on a contingency basis?
Yeah, like they'll say they can't do a routine search with us because.
So the customer's telling us
So the
that.
customer.
Yeah.
It's all BS.
Okay.
It's all, not to deflate anyone in HR or talent acquisition, but it's all, there are no edicts that say we must only use contingent firms, or there's a company policy saying no agencies. If there's someone in HR that can send me that, I'm gonna get you Cavs tickets. There are no real, you're not gonna find you're not gonna find it is corporate policy, because that's, I'm sorry, but the CEO wanted to hire somebody and pay for it, it's gonna happen. So,
I would agree with you.
if you're watching, we're a small firm. I'd hire a search firm. If they identified a great headhunter
Sure.
to us to hire, I'll pay a fee for it. So to say you're never going to do something or there's an edict is just dumb. So,
All companies use firms.
yes, they do.
They all do across the board. And I think it's just sometimes you find the retained at a higher level versus the contingent at volume positions.
And I don't want to glorify retained search, because there are times too that retained search firms, they'll fire their customers, because if you don't watch it, you could have shopping.
Exactly.
If we say we're going to guarantee you 3 to 5 candidates in 60 days, there are some firms that you send over 20 candidates, the customer still hasn't made it. It's like at one point you're losing money on those dinners. So there's no price. If you're qualifying candidates, background checking candidates, referring candidates, scheduling candidates, administrative costs, so forth. After a while, you're like, get away from me. Like you are,
Have you done that?
Fired a customer? Yeah. I actually, I don't know if I don't want to name their name, because they were bought and sold. No, I don't care. So this goes back to like 10 years ago. Bendix, 2010. I don't know if they're Bendix anymore. They asked me to find director of HR in Mexico. And it was a big job, director of HR for let's just say 6 sites in Mexico. I forgot where in Mexico. But once we signed the agreement, they actually sent me the check. It was like a $15,000 invoice. We started going through the process. And it was, do an assessment, do this, profile exam. So candidates had to spend 3 or 4 or 5 hours on assessments before they even got interviewed. Well, after I found 3 candidates, I'm like, we're not doing this. Like, we're not going to spend our weekend doing an assessment. I wrote the check back and said, listen, I'd love to help you guys, but I can't be successful and I don't want to keep your money. And we still have a good relationship to this day. I know the TA person that we did with, but yeah, I couldn't do it. So I couldn't didn't sit well with me. So
Last question is more opinion and kind of where you see.
Browns 10-6.
No,
Sorry.
Steelers.
I'm sorry. 11-6. Steelers. Who's their quarterback? Do we have one
We
right
don't
now?
have a quarterback.
Gotcha.
Danger
I mean,
Mouse.
you got Pickett.
Yeah, Pickett. Small hands, Pickett.
It's not looking good for either. What do you see the future of contingent search and retained search in the marketplace being? Because there's a lot of variability in how people are approaching talent and how people are partnering with firms. Do you think both will continue to exist? Do you think people are like the contingent model's going to go away?
Both will exist.
I think both will exist going forward.
Okay.
I mean, there's always a market. I mean, if you have a phone and a resume, you can do it, right? I started CiresiMorek. Is actually Ciresi, and Ciresi, my wife and I, out of my house, Pulte home in Broadview Heights, making phone calls and partnering with TRW at the time. I didn't have a database. I had nothing. It was a phone and and a computer, but that's always available. We get paid to make connections.
Mm-hmm.
So a contingency retain, absolutely, it'll always exist.
Mm-hmm. Difference between retained and engaged. Those are two terms that are often used interchangeably.
Yeah, kind of.
What would be those differences as you think about them?
What would you say?
So retain, from my experience and having read those agreements, it's 1/3 of it's. So imagine the fee is, I don't know, make it easy math, $90,000. So on retain, just on the fee structure, they ask for 1/3 upon starting, 2/3 upon submitted candidates, and the rest upon completion. What we do is we ask for 1/3 up front and the rest upon completion. There's no 2/3. And then we also provide guarantees that if we don't at least satisfy our customer by metrics, we return the money. So we don't charge, but honestly,
There's not much of a difference.
there isn't much of a difference. I think that, but I can tell you that you don't necessarily hear the horror stories you hear a lot from retain. Like you'll never hear someone, we don't trust contingency search. Shit, I'm sorry. You'll like that. But if you hear you will hear we tried the retainer, it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
We try to eliminate that by saying, try this model. And if it doesn't work out, we return your money. So, but that's, I think, the biggest. No one wants to get locked in for exclusivity and so forth.
Sure.
They want their options. So, and it works out. Like I said, I think we just try to, work with our customers as best we can. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was all the questions for today, and I think we have about 30 seconds left. Any final last comments you want to leave people with?
I think that when you look at whether you're a candidate or a client and you're entering the marketplace and you are, identifying an agency or a firm to work with you, I think you need to find the one that works best with your personality, what the company culture is, and really, do your research, do your homework on who you're engaging with.
Do your homework. Wow.
You don't like that word?
No,
Homework?
everyone should do their homework.
Do your homework before, whether you're, engaging from a retained search and you're trying to identify candidates or vice versa. I just think you need to do your homework on who you want to partner with going forward.
Don't be lazy.
Don't be lazy.
And then our next series, I think we're talking about counteroffers and so forth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're watching, we're going to talk about counteroffers, how to negotiate a counteroffer, when they can take around a counteroffer, and it's going to be, I'm not just going to bad about counteroffers because you guys saw Miles Garrett just accepted one yesterday. But truthfully, I just happened to don't accept a counteroffer unless you have everything in writing. If you do, you're an idiot, and it's going to end up backfiring. So counteroffers sometimes work, but if you don't have everything in writing, not an email, in writing, signed by whoever promised it to you, you are an idiot.
Yes.